so much more enjoyable to get through Smackdown in a couple hours, not feeling tired and wanting to pass out and all that fun stuff. It's a great feeling. Anyway, it is January 31st. We're already through 1 month of 2017, and here we are, and this is your Smackdown review for January 31st, 2017. And this is the first Smackdown after the middle of the road Royal Rumble. So, we start off with Cena in the back demanding a one-on-one rematch for his title that he lost to John Cena in match of the night. Very close to a match of the year candidate, definitely. Shane agrees. He feels that Styles definitely should get a one-on-one title match, which is cool. And he also sits there and says, but you'll also be in the Elimination Chamber. But we'll worry about your one-on-one match later on down the road. Apparently we're not going to have qualifying for this match because they don't have enough depth to do that, really. So we automatically get our 6, which is going to be Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, AJ Styles, and of course John Cena, who is your champion, will be in the Elimination Chamber match. Like I said, you really don't have anybody else on the SmackDown roster right now that is really capable of being in a main event picture anyway. So, I mean, it is what it is. But the show really basically started with Cena coming out and basically promoting himself. It's like, hey, I'm the 16-time champ. You know, the champ's here. You know, Styles brought out the best in me. You know, and you got to put it all on the line if you want to, achieve those dreams that you have and all this other jazz. Gets interrupted by Bray Wyatt. So the rumors of Bray Wyatt possibly winning the WWE Championship at the Elimination Chamber, some little seeds just kind of thrown in there, but obviously we got another episode of SmackDown before we get to that, so we're just gonna have to wait and see how all this plays out. Wyatt basically in his whole promo basically says he wants to, the more things change, everything stays the same. Shame spiel, we're live now, Randy Orton's in his corner. His family has changed drastically over the last couple of years, and yet we still have John Cena on top. So that's essentially what he's alluding to. He said that he has every intention of going into the Elimination Chamber and becoming the WWE Champion. This really the first time Bray Wyatt has ever verbally sat here and said, I want that belt. He hasn't done that before. This is really the first time he sat here and said, I want that championship. So, I mean, that in and of itself just kind of gives you the thought process of maybe it'll actually happen this time, because it's not something that he usually sits there and says he's going to do. But, what are you going to do? But he sits here and says basically the exact phrasing he uses that he wants to set the title free. So by beating John Cena and taking that title, he would be setting the WWE title free. So after that, him and Orton decide to flank Cena, who is in the ring, and we black out for half a second, and Luke Harper appears in the ring with John Cena. I mean, it's not surprising because Luke Harper's more or less there because of the Wyatts, because of his issues with them. But, I wasn't really expecting to team with Cena. But, we got to do something. This, of course, leads to Cena Harper versus Wyatt and Orton in a tag team match. This is our opening match for the night. One crucial thing that happened throughout this entire match. The match was okay. It wasn't. It's hard for matches to write home about. Really, it really is. I mean, most of the show is actually very Same with Raw. It was just nothing major happened really. I mean, there's stuff that happened. We'll get to that. Just be patient. But this match in and of itself was not anything different, anything new. Although Harper would not tag in if Bray Wyatt was in the match. In fact, any time that Bray Wyatt was in the ring, or if he got between him and Orton, he would back off. He had absolutely no problem attacking Orton. Had no problem. Any chance he had, he would attack Orton. But when it came to Bray Wyatt, he didn't do anything for almost the entire match. We get near the end, and eventually Harper gets to the point where he's going to attack him, and he gets him in position to give him Harper gets Wyatt in position for a Sister Abigail. He then releases him because Orton's coming in to basically save Wyatt. He gives him a big boot. Wyatt then hits Harper with the Sister Abigail. Cena then attempts to give Wyatt an AA. Orton comes in, pushes Wyatt off of him, and then basically turns him around to give him an RKO for a 1-2-3. Wyatt and Orton win with an RKO to Cena for the pinfall. This would actually lead to Cena versus Orton next week. So the go-home show for the Elimination Chamber will feature John Cena versus Randy Orton in a singles match. Trust me, this is not going to be anything to write home about either, because this is a feud that has been going on for a long time. Long time. But new dynamic. You got to figure we got Bray Wyatt as an effective differential in this match, so there is that concept there, but we'll worry about that when we get to next week. Some good news. James Ellsworth didn't break his hip from getting eliminated by Braun Strowman last week. That's a good thing, I guess. I don't know. Because he took a pretty brutal bump when he got thrown out from the Rumble not last night, but on Sunday. Looked like he probably could have really fucked his hip up. He actually didn't. He looked more than viable. This led to a Carmella versus another jobber match. Another very uniquely dressed jobber. These matches are annoying. It's more or less just to make Ellsworth look like a tool, basically. I mean, Carmella really isn't going into these squash matches like super dominant. She's actually getting one-upped by them to a degree, and then Ellsworth usually gets involved, and then she'll use that advantage and end up winning the match, which is what happened. Did a leg sweep while she had her back turned up against the rope. She fell face first, smacked the canvas pretty fucking hard, and pretty much that was the end of the match. So it was an extended squash match, even though Carmella really didn't squash her. So I mean, but Carmella has potential. She really does as a in-ring talent. Her gimmick's crap. She needs to drop the whole, G gimmick. I mean, if she was with Enzo and Cass, it would make more sense, but she's by herself, and it just kind of seems forced. And just change up her gimmick. That's what she needs to do. Drop Ellsworth, change the gimmick around, and then, we'll be better off. But I'm sure we're pretty far from that. After that, we get, literally right after that, we get Ziggler versus Kalisto. This is a match that's happened, 3 or 4 times lately. Ziggler makes very quick work of Kalisto again. Not a very long match. After the match, Ziggler attempts to then take off Kalisto's mask. Take off his mask that he wears. Actually did get it off of Kalisto, but Cruz came down basically to aid his friend and all that jazz. 100% this leads to a pre-show match at the Chamber. Oh, thanks. Alright, after the Kalisto basically squash match, we go and we have a backstage segment with Becky Lynch and Naomi, and we basically just have them talking about how they're going to go out there and do their thing. We're going to feel the glow fire, basically. I will say this. At this point, I know we had a couple tonight during the entire show, but I like the fact that there wasn't 50,000 recaps during this 2-hour show. Unlike Raw, who did 50 million recaps the entire night last night, it was just so excessive and annoying as hell. There was a couple tonight. One, they were both from last week, so I mean it's not horrible, but a lot of the recap that was getting done during the show overall was done by the commentary team, which is a lot better unless it's something very specific that's really trying to accentuate what happened. The whole Mickie James instance from last week, I'm cool with that one. The one with Nikki and Natalya, 50-50. Take it or leave it. Doesn't really matter. But they're minimal. And they only do it once if it's any particular instance. Whereas on Raw, we're going to get the same goddamn replay of the same damn thing 3 times. Like, I don't need you to show me the same flashback that happened at the beginning of the show twice before the end of the show. So you have the actual event itself, you have a flashback right after the commercial when you had just seen it, and then later on, especially at the opening segment, you'll have the opening segment, you go to commercial, and it's like, in case you missed it, before the commercial break, this happened, is the opening segment you just saw, and then at the top of the next hour is like, earlier in the night, this happened, and it was the opening segment again. And then if that opening segment had any bearings on the main event for that night, they would also then play that right before the main event. We'll take you back to why this match is happening. And it's like, apparently I forgot what happened 2 hours ago. Smackdown didn't do that. Their recaps came from last week, not the last hour. But like I say again, we're not going to get into that again. But even though we just did. But like I said, that's just it's a lot nicer not to get our intelligence insulted on SmackDown. Then when we have a nice little promo package for WrestleMania, we are 60 days away from the biggest show of the year, and we are 61 days away from the biggest dumpster fire of the year. And I am, of course, talking about NXT TakeOver, which will be taking place from Orlando the night before WrestleMania, which is probably going to be the better of the 2 shows. And WrestleMania, which will end up being the dumpster fire. So, because right now, the only matches that are even remotely halfway confirmed are Rollins versus Triple H, which that might not even happen with with Samoa Joe showing up. So that might not even happen. And the only other match that's even remotely halfway confirmed is Randy Orton versus the WWE Champion, which could very well be Cena, but that might change next Sunday. And then supposedly Shaq versus Big Show, which no one gives a flying fuck about. So we come back from all this, and we have Mickie James and Alexa Bliss versus Naomi and Becky Lynch. Match was okay. It wasn't anything amazing, but Naomi looked fantastic in this match. She really showed off her athleticism, which is what they kept saying on the commentary, which is blatantly obvious. Her stamina is on par. She's able to just keep up on pace. Quick. Does really good. Although I'm not a big fan of her pinning Alexa Bliss twice in a row. Once on Sunday and then tonight. I mean, it doesn't really kill her momentum. Obviously, it builds momentum for Naomi, but when they have their eventual match at Elimination Chamber, which is more likely going to be Alexa Bliss versus Naomi, which will probably get made official next week, more than likely. Naomi's not going to beat Alexa Bliss. If she does, I'd be highly surprised. But, it is what it is. Then we go to a backstage segment with Jordan Gable talking about how they've had no competition. Nobody stepped up to challenge them since they won the titles. You think? There's no tag division. There's 6 teams on SmackDown. You have the Ascension, you have the Vaudevillains, you have Slater and Rhino still for some reason. Yeah, I thought they broke up. Apparently not. And then you've got the Fashion Police or Fandango and Tyler Breeze or whatever. You have the Usos, and then, of course, you've got the Wyatts still, technically, and then, American Alpha. So they decide, we're going to go to the ring, we're going to issue an open challenge. So it's like, all right, cool, so we'll have ourselves an impromptu match. And the way that the announcer announced it made it sound like this is going to be a consistent thing, how American Alpha will come out every week and issue an open challenge, and we'll get some of the tag teams involved. It's like, okay, this could have potential, similar to what Cena did with the United States title a year and a half ago. The Usos are the ones that came out back on TV after so many weeks. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with Naomi coming back, so I was like, well, Usos got to come back, so I was like, okay, cool. The Usos versus the American Alpha. This should be a fairly interesting match. They do work very well together. Yeah, and then the Ascension came out, and then every other tag team came out, and then they just started brawling. So this open challenge, which could add a potentially fairly good tag team match, because American Alpha usually delivers a good tag team match, and if it was with the Usos, had the main event not happened, they would have probably put on the best match during the last 2 nights, actually, more than likely. So, but they all start brawling. It's like, well, we're going to go to commercial break while we get this all sorted out. And usually that means we're going to turn into some massive fucking 8-man tag match or 16-man tag match, whatever the hell you want to do with this. And surprisingly, they came back from commercial, and it's still a clusterfuck. Any other time this ever happens, you come back and it's like, per Commissioner so-and-so, we're going to have a whatever match, and it'll be these guys versus these guys, and all this happens during the commercial when nobody's watching. Surprisingly enough, we come back commercial, and they're all still fighting. They're all over the place, jumping and kicking and hitting and all this other stuff. Never usually happens. That was surprising, but beyond that, who cares? And then nothing happened. They just said, okay, you guys are done, go back to the whatever, we're not going to do anything. Apparently they're going to be on Talking Smack, which I'm not going to watch. More than likely they'll probably end up having an open challenge match probably next week. If you watched Talking Smack, you know the answer. I don't. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to go over it because I'm not going to wait until after 11 o'clock to figure that one out. I want to go the fuck to bed. Anywho, then Natty goes to see Brian in the office. Nikki shows up. Brian announces that they're going to have a match at Elimination Chamber. That's it. Who cares about the rest? And then I'm going to mention this because for some reason this bothers me. Cena gets his title card picture updated with him with his title. Yet for some reason that can get done. American Alphas can get done. Who else had a title change? Oh, yeah, the Gallows and Andersons can get theirs done. But for some reason, Jericho had to wait 3 weeks. That bothers me for some reason. You're telling me you couldn't say, hey, Jericho, come over here. Stand in front of this green screen. We're going to take your picture, hold your title, click. All right, put this in the system. All right, there, use this. Okay. Takes 20 fucking seconds. But no, we had to have a Photoshop picture of his usual stance that he has is when they make these match cards up, and then it's like Photoshop. We're gonna Photoshop that U.S. title right there. We'll use that for a little while. Nobody will fucking notice. Whatever. After that, we have Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles, which was essentially announced at the beginning of the show. When AJ was bitching about getting his one-on-one rematch, Dean Ambrose had came in and said, hey, we've got unfinished business now that you don't have your little title and all this other stuff. So, I dealt with James Ellsworth last night or on Sunday or whatever. So this led to them having a match. Main event, match of the night. Awesome job. Obviously not their best match, but this was still a really good match. It was a lot of nice little spots here and there. It was very, very well done. Ambrose is definitely working a hell of a lot harder lately. Ever since that TLC match, he's really, really been putting in some effort, and pretty much almost all his matches, he's really showing that he really gives a shit for once. I don't know if it's changed just because he's got the IC title. I don't know if it's just you know, if he finally got around to taking what, you know, Stone Cold told him on his podcast. I really don't know, but it just seems like Ambrose is really putting in the effort now, which is nice to see, because he definitely has a hell of a lot more potential than fucking Roman Reigns does. But this match alone helped SmackDown be better than what it was potentially going to be, because SmackDown was very, very bland tonight. It wasn't really much better than Raw, but then again, Raw wasn't really all that great anyway. It was just like if you saw it, congratulations, you saw it. If you missed it, no one's going to care. Same way with this. If you saw SmackDown, good for you. If you missed it, no one's going to fucking care. Was the match worth going back and watching it? Yeah, sure. If you want to watch a decent match, then yeah, go back and watch the AJ Styles Ambrose match from tonight. It was fine. It was, you know, is it something that you need to go out of your way to watch? Probably not. But then again, most stuff that comes on Raw and SmackDown are usually not matches that you need to go out of your way to see. That's just a simple fact of the matter. Anyway, so another thing that happened, The Miz came doing commentary. Halfway through the match, Baron Corbin showed up. He got on commentary. We had 7 people at this fucking table. So that was intriguing in and of itself as to why they felt they needed 7 people at that table. The match was good. Commentary, I found myself just really focusing on the commentary, because The Miz was sitting there and just talking shit to Corbin the entire time. But, you know, he's giving props to AJ Styles. He's sitting here talking about his experience is going to, you know, propel him to winning the title at the Elimination Chamber and going on to WrestleMania and all this other stuff. All these things and all these variables are getting thrown around. Eventually, Corbin got tired of hearing Miz, you know, sitting there ranting and raving and boasting, so he goes over and starts attacking him. Ambrose goes out, attacks The Miz, attacks Corbin, because they're sitting there getting in the middle of his match, causes him to walk into a Styles Clash. AJ Styles wins, 1, 2, 3 after Styles Clash. Ambrose then gets wrecked after that. He eats a skull-crushing finale from The Miz. The Miz eats a End of Days from Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin then also gives an End of Days to Dean Ambrose. So got hit with 3 finishers fairly successfully, and yeah, but overall the match was pretty damn good. Like I said, if you were watching SmackDown, you got a nice little treat at the end. So, but other than that, you know, SmackDown was the same as Raw. It was just there. You know, I mean, we got developments. They have 2 weeks to build to a pay-per-view. I mean, they intentionally didn't really put any effort into anything going on at the Rumble except for the Rumble itself, because they had to do this. They have to do a pay-per-view in 2 weeks. Hopefully after WrestleMania, they'll have, you know, a little more leeway, you know, but I don't know. So, you know, they've got 2 weeks to build, you know, 4 or 5 matches. You know, but of course the main focus is going to be Elimination Chamber. That's why Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon basically just said, hey, here's your 6 entrants for the Elimination Chamber. We're not going to have qualifying matches, because you have to spend one whole show doing qualifying matches, and then you have to spend the whole next show just building intrigue for the match. That's why Baron Corbin and The Miz were added to commentary, so they could build towards that match during the main event of this match, of 2 guys who are also in that match. They're doing consistent building in the show, but they're rushing all this shit. But you didn't need all them to be down there to do all this tonight. If they had 4 weeks to build, then they wouldn't had to have done that. But they're under time constraints. They have 2 weeks to build to a pay-per-view. So you've got these 2 on commentary having verbal bars with each other, more so from The Miz, but just because you have no time to build for anything. So, I mean, that leaves you to doing this, and then, you know, you've got next week where you're going to have your other aspects getting thrown in with John Cena, because John Cena was not involved in any of this, because he's straight on focused with John Cena, which leads into of itself that it may come down to Cena and Wyatt in that match, because you got these other 4 quarreling between themselves. AJ Styles is obviously the higher up of the 4, but I think the simple fact that it was Bray Wyatt and John Cena at the beginning of the night, while the other four were kind of amongst themselves, is leading me to think that it's going to come down to Wyatt and Cena at the end of the match. Does that mean Wyatt wins? No, that doesn't imply anything. Does that mean that there's a very slight possibility that the WrestleMania main event turns into a triple threat? Yes, it's very possible. Just saying, but getting a little ahead of ourselves. But if that happens, you heard it here first, folks. Triple threat main event for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 33. John Cena defends his title against Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Anyway, if you like the review, go ahead and hit the like button below. Subscribe to the channel, so you can stay up to date with all the fun shit. Video gaming is coming tomorrow. Finally, it worked. I did my test earlier today. It worked fantastic. It came up. I didn't sound shitty. So we're gonna upload some shit because I've got a lot of backlog stuff. We're not gonna overload it in one day. That'd be silly. But we've got some stuff coming. So make sure to pay attention to the channel. We'll be having that come up tomorrow. And then of course, we'll sprinkle in some other things throughout the week and into the weekend. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to keep track of all that other stuff. Like the video if you liked it. Follow me on all the other little bullshitty things down below. All that stuff is below. Facebook, Twitter, Wrestling Amino, cha-ching. And then you can also follow me on PlayStation Network or even on Xbox Live. Those are both down there as well. I'm Jeremy Scott. I'm here to give you all the information you need to know about all your pay-per-views and all your weekly shows, your video gaming, your movies, anything that intrigues the audience or whatever. And we'll be back tomorrow with some gameplay. I don't know what we're going to upload. We got a few things. I may do a brand new live stream. I'm probably going to go with that. What are we going to live stream? I'll let that be a surprise. Just expect some Xbox 360 fun tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow on some Xbox Live gaming. Yeah! And I will see you then. Peace out, guys.